our final year MBA student to give the welcome address.
Good afternoon, all. We welcome all the participants for today's Corporate Connect and Industry Institution Interaction Initiative. We often emphasize the importance of doing proper target audience research before enrolling in a social media or digital marketing strategy. And more often that not, clients express an interest in targeting the millennial generation. With that being said, there seems to be a new approach to the millennials that quite literally divides this generation, the zillennials. Zillennials make up 40% of future consumers. Why is this important to know about zillennials? The more we understand the individual, the better we are able to target according to their needs, habits, routines, and consumption. Different audiences have different ways to communicate or to be spoken to. Individualism is also expressed by the way cohort behave. It's easy to forget a big part of the audience that currently owns the buying power. To know more about change, we have with us today Mr. Chirag Suchak, People Business Partner and Anheuser-Busch InBev, Bangalore. We welcome you, sir. I also welcome our beloved Director, Dr. AGV Narayanan, Chief Executive Captain Sindhil Kumar, faculty members, students, and participants from other institutions. Now, I request my friend Anusundriya to introduce the speaker.
Very good morning, everyone. Mr. Chirag Suchak is a people person in real life and by profession. He comes with 11 plus years of experience across various HR functions in industries like retail and food and beverages. As MBA in HR, he has worked with international brands in retail like Lifestyle, Puma, Vans, Lee and Wrangler. Currently, he is associated with Anheuser-Busch InBev, the world's largest brewer, as people business partner. He is an avid reader and a documentary aficionado who always has a book or a film recommendation up his sleeve. We welcome you, sir. Now I request you to take over the session.
Great. Thank you so much for the pleasant introduction. I think all of you already have done so much research when I was listening to the first student here. I don't know how much will I add value to the conversation here. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate all the institutes, including DG Academy today, which has taken up an opportunity to have this corporate connect, not only with me, but with various leaders from various industries, right? So this is something, when it started last year, I think it was, there were apprehensions around it that how will this convert into a very successful connect, right? But I've seen that it's all the more convenient and easier because for all of us to connect with students is much more easier than before, right? So we don't have to go through the, hassle of coming to the institute in person, and I can just spend a couple of hours with all the students and come out and do n number of sessions during the weekend itself, right? So it's a great opportunity, and I have a couple of do's and don'ts for all the students here. Please feel free to switch on, switch off your video at any point in time. I'm going to do that often because of my Wi-Fi bandwidth issues, one of the challenges of work from home, right? So feel free to do that. Keep it very casual. I have no issues with you also going off for a bit and just sipping a cup of coffee, coming back. I will be here, right? So please feel free to do that. Also, refrain from calling me sir if possible. Yeah, call me by my name. You can call me Chirag. Every guest speaker that comes, I'm sure, talks about I want to keep it interactive, right? That is needless to say. I want to keep it interactive, but at the same time, I will not wait. I would not like to wait for Q&A session to happen till end. At any point in time, you feel that any slide is interesting or any conversation which is happening, I will keep asking you. I will take a pause to ask you about any questions that you may have. Any hesitation on unmuting and asking about it, feel free to just put it in the chat box, right? So that we have certain conversations. No, we don't realize. I'm telling you this based on my experience here, that sometimes we don't realize, and we might end up asking a question that will help the entire audience. It might not help you sometimes, right? You want to ask a question, you want to be the highlight, but sometimes when you ask a question, somebody else who didn't ask will also be benefited, and it's a two-way street wherein I also learn from you, and I will tell you why it is important for all of us to learn, especially for me at this point in time. When I just share my screen here, sir, just let me know if you can see my screen. Is it? I hope it's visible.
Yeah, visible, sir.
Great. as I said, please call me Chirag. I'll be more than happy, because we are talking about Zillennials today. I like to believe that I'm not that old as I look. So sir will, make me realize that again and again. On jokes apart, on a serious note, I have been addressing students for years, because in HR you are fortunate enough to address as many students as possible, because that's a big part of your role as well, right? You go to n number of campuses for presentations to talk to students. But for me, especially in 2020, first quarter of 2020, things changed, right? Until 2019, all the students that were coming to me and many other corporate professionals were asking questions about how can I prepare my resume better? How can I prepare myself for interviews? How can I just go ahead and gain some confidence and show some confidence while I'm talking to senior professionals? In the first quarter itself of last year, I saw a migration happening wherein students came in and started asking about the anxiety or the anxiousness they had about the pandemic, which was about to start or had just started in different parts of the world. Wherein the questions changed about what is happening at the ground, how will this affect our future prospects when we come out, right? So that's when I realized, I took it up as a personal mission. And as you can see, I've addressed 2000 plus students, very fortunate to be in touch with many academicians, including all of you today here, that I got this opportunity to connect with them. And that's my personal mission, to address as many students as possible and try to give them certain guidance based on whatever limited experience I have. About me, I think you've already given a very pleasant introduction. Just to reiterate, 2009, I'm from the recession batch. So until now, I always thought that my batch or our batch, I was very proud, at the same time very cautious of using it in my conversations, that all my batchmates have come out of it, though the times were very difficult, right? But today I would like all of you to know that you are going to be the part of most resilient batch ever in the history, right? So this batch 2 years down the line will realize the importance. 4 years, 5 years down the line, when you look back at this time, you will realize that maybe your start was slower compared to previous batches, maybe not, but you will realize that you are much more resilient and much more stronger than before, and all the batches that have come before you, right? So 2009, I joined as a management trainee with lifestyle, worked in capacity of regional HR. 2012, I joined Puma India in the capacity of assistant manager HR, worked with them in India and Germany headquarters in different capacities of front end retail and corporate HR. Moved to VF Brands. VF Brands is a parent entity of brands like Lee, Wrangler, Denims, Vans, North Face, Nautica, etc. Right? Worked with them in different aspects of HR in Hong Kong and India. Then joined AB InBev. Last year, I thought I'll change my industry. Primarily, I've been into retail, and AB InBev was one of my first stints rather in outside of retail, right? So with them for last 1 year, very different experience, and you'll see more about it in coming slides. And 2021, I intend to focus more on mentoring as many students as possible. Mentor is a very strong word. I don't think I'm capable yet. I'm certified enough, but I try to help as many basic questions as possible, right? So that's about me. Zillennials workforce glimpse of the future. It was millennials. I told Dr. Narayanan to make it Zillennials very last minute, because it has some zing to it, right? That's how it's easier to capture attention. But in upcoming slides, you will see that I will use millennials as the term. But when I'm saying millennials, I'm trying to convey a message. All my characteristics of millennials are nothing but a mix of millennials and Gen Z, and that's why we are calling it Zillennials, right? There is no such concrete definition of Zillennials yet. It is still into consideration, but ideally it talks about the generation, largely about generation that moves from no digital experience to complete transformation into technology, right? But today, everywhere, instead of Zillennial, just for easier reference for the crowd, we will use millennials everywhere. But irrespective of what generation you are, it's a mix of Gen Z and millennials that I show you today, right? I'm just opening this up to the crowd here. Use chat box if you want. Just unmute me. What's the first thought? What is the first thought that comes to your mind when you think about millennials? Any one line you can put it in the chat box. You can unmute it. Please unmute themselves. Is it audible?
Sukumaran, you have a lot of background noise.
Sukumaran, I think you'll have great. Thank you so much. Yes. Any thoughts? Any initial thoughts that you have when you think about millennials? Very simple and very old term. These nothing new. What is it? Feel free to just unmute and tell me, or add your comment to the chat box. Don't hesitate. There is no right or wrong answer. Most of the answers are there on the screen itself. What is your first thought? Anybody would like to give it a shot?
You all have access. You can unmute and talk if you wish, or else you can chat.
Anything, any one line. What do you think of? What is the first thing that strikes your mind? It can be a one-word reply as well. When you hear about millennials, nobody is going to put you into spotlight. Do not worry. Just write it in the chat box. Great. I can see something coming in. Great. Independent. Great.
Sir, millennials are not digital native, sir. They are not
digital
digitally
native. Digital native. Thank you so much, Lokeshwaran. What else? Great answers. Great start. Independent, digital native. What else? Anybody? Okay, I'll make it easier for you. I know I can see something in the chat box again. Great. Self-driven. Great answer. Thanks. Self-driven, independent, instant gratification. I was looking for it, sir. Thank you so much for putting it. I think it will be there in one of my slides as well. Self-driven, independent, instant gratification, right? And as you said, digital native, right? Most of us were not digital native until now. Thank you so much for answering that. And that's what I'm looking for, right? 3-4 answers from you. Do not hesitate. Just come forward and put it in the chat box. Encouragement frequently, right? We look for it. Perfect. And millennials, ideally, as per definition, there are many contradictory conversations happening around it, wherein somebody said it starts from 84, somebody said it starts from 78. I am looking at the papers, and the most average age that came out was 1980 to 95 for millennials, and Gen Z was 96 onwards, right? But as I said today, we are going to talk about both. When I say millennials in upcoming slides, we are talking about Gen Z as well. So in case you are a part of the latter group, 96 to 2010, do not worry. I am going to talk about you itself when I say millennials. And if you're a part of 1995 and before, please do not worry again, because there's something relevant to both the generations, right? These are the general definitions, wherein Gen Z is the generation reaching adulthood in the early 21st century. And as you rightly mentioned, Lokeshwaran, it is the first tribe of true digital natives, right? Whereas millennials is also known as Generation Y, and they have been shaped by the technology revolution, which just started after our industrial revolution as well, right? Perfect. So quickly moving on. Right. So we'll have some conversations here, guys. It's very interesting to see what you think about it. So do not hesitate from answering it. Attention span. Boomers on the other side, which we saw Gen X and before, talks about, I only have 5 minutes. Earlier we used to feel that this guy is not even giving us, or this girl is not giving us even 10 minutes. I only have 5 minutes. On the other side, our millennials, I only have 5 seconds. And when we look at attention span, 5 seconds, I would like to call myself a part of the same group before you knock me out. But yes, I will use we for us right now. I only have 5 seconds. That is our attention span. And I was speaking to one of my colleagues who's in the final stage of his PhD, and sir could also second that. 5 seconds is going to come down to 3.5 seconds. Can you believe it? The latest sample set of 2020 says that 5 seconds might also come down to 3.5, 3.7 seconds. That's what our attention span is, right? So for today's call, my advice or my request to you would be, any webinar that you attend going forward, always remember, do not worry that how much will you remember from it, right? Please just have one key takeaway from any session that you attend. You cannot have more than that. One key takeaway can be from one of the pics that I show you on the slides, or it can be any of the questions being asked by your fellow colleagues or batchmates here, right? So keep that in mind. You cannot remember more than that. And for all the other facts, we still have Google, right? So we don't have to worry about it. But from all the conversations, any of the questions being asked by me, by your batchmates, you never know, 2, 3 years, 4 years down the line, you should look back to this presentation and say, okay, this was something discussed there, irrespective of it comes from who. Because our attention span is very low, you cannot expect it to have more, right? So do not worry about that part. But food for thought, attention span is very low, especially your students, most of you. Please try to have more better focus around it with different exercises, meditation and focus exercises, which I will not deep dive for now. Complaining. When I say complaining, I'm talking about escalation, right? Boomers earlier in corporate used to say that I really think there is a problem here and this is something HR should look into. What are we as millennials doing now? I see many freshers, many young professionals in my organization today as well. If they are not happy with something, they will directly go on social media. YouTube is an example here, but they would go to any social media, be it LinkedIn, be it Glassdoor, and they would just like to add a comment there. Later fired is on a lighter note, but ideally, yes, you do it on social media. Brands like AB InBev, VF, they will come to know about it, and then you'll be questioned that on what grounds you are going and talking about us on social media. But these days, there is no particular rule or legality around it as well, right? But millennials don't like to go through the conventional path, is what I'm trying to say. And at any point in time, we have to be aware of what kind of teams are we handling in coming time, because anything that comes out of our mouth which is not so pleasant to them, you might find it all over internet. Volunteering. Now I would like to open this again. Boomers on the other side are just still contemplating whether they should volunteer or not, and millennials or Gen Z will just raise their hands, right? Anybody would like to unmute and share that? Do you feel that this happens to you a lot, and why do you feel this can have a flip side to it? It's a very good thing that you want to volunteer. What can be the flip side of it? Anybody would like to give it a shot? What can go wrong is what I'm asking when you keep volunteering like this. Unmute, chat box, anything. Nambi, would you like to share something? I can see something in the chat box. Fear of taking responsibility. So Magesh, I'm just trying to understand. Millennials do not have fear of taking responsibility, is what we are saying. Yeah, you may not have bandwidth. Thank you so much, Rakesh. One is fear of taking responsibility. Sometimes you feel that, Mageshwaran, but on the other side, when you're volunteering, you may not have bandwidth to do what you have committed. Great answer. Pranesh says, be highly prepared before volunteering. Absolutely. I think I will not even look for answers. I'm very happy that sometimes I have to wait for 6-7 answers to reach to this one, because this is what the challenge has been, right? I mean, could I have a volunteer to lead this? You have not seen this only in corporate, but also in colleges, right? We are so eager as a student. I was always so eager, or people around me at least will just raise their hand without even understanding that, do I have the bandwidth to do this, right? Am I in a position right now to lead this when I have raised my hand in the other classroom sessions also, right? I am leading my project in marketing. I'm leading my project in HR. I'm leading my project in stats as well. Am I doing justice to this? Am I not being more open to giving opportunities to others and also try to follow? Because end of the day, when I'm going to join a job, I will be following a leader, right? I cannot become a leader from day one. Even if I become a leader, I will always have a leader or mentor to look forward to. Before raising your hand, it also inculcates a culture under you that, yes, I will raise my hand, but at the same time, there are opportunities I can pass it on to others. Maybe I will goof up if I take so much on my plate, right? In the boardrooms, when you go tomorrow, be aware. Very good thing, you should be proactive. I'm not asking you to not be proactive. Just give it a thought. Give it a thought for at least a couple of minutes before you raise your hand, right? Travel. Now, when I travel with baby boomers, I have seen, just got to the hotel, think I will order some room service and go to sleep. It was Thursday night or Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, 7:30 I land. By the time I reach hotel, it's 9, and my senior wants to order something and just sleep because tomorrow early morning I have a meeting. Millennials, they don't care. They want to check what's happening in the city. I will try out for a couple of hours. I'll try to manage my sleep, maybe sleep for 6 hours today and cover it up tomorrow, and I just go out, right? So that's how the difference has been, which has been seen across the globe, right? Email communication, very important. On the left hand side, you have boomers talking about putting everything in structure. Please let me know at your convenience. Can I set up some time on your calendar? With work from home, especially, millennials are having a blast and boomers are struggling really bad, right? I mean, people like me also are struggling here because millennials are always available. You connect with them on Zoom, on Skype, on any other social media which I'm not aware of, on your WhatsApp, email, messaging, calls, everywhere you connect with all the millennials that we have or zillennials we have in AB InBev. They will respond to you within 30 seconds. My average time is around 1 minute or so. They do not wait and they expect the same from you, right? So very, very demanding when it comes to communication these days, especially with a work from home. And there are, hi, when can we meet? Can we meet now? Do you have 5 minutes? And you don't wait, right? So work from home has made it even more difficult for us to communicate. But please keep in mind, maybe if you can put, instead of emoticons, maybe you can be a little more formal. It will give a very good initial impression when you speak to people. I'm not saying that all of us use so many emoticons, but the bottom line is try to make it more descriptive. Perfect. Schedule. I'll open up again. I want to understand. Left hand side schedule is boomers, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Millennials on the other side, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Every day is a separate or a different routine here, right? What do you feel? And if possible, unmute and let's have a conversation as well. As I said, nothing. There is no right or wrong answer. Do you feel that? Do you relate to this schedule? And whether it's good, bad? What is your opinion about the schedule that we see here? Anybody? As I said, please volunteer for this call at least. Don't volunteer everywhere you go. But today you can just volunteer. Feel free because I am not going to judge you. And I will not even remember you maybe a week later and vice versa, right? So please unmute and just tell me what do you feel? I mean, do you relate to this schedule of millennials, Gen Z? Great, I can see an answer here. Millennial schedule is the need of the time. Many times it is not out of choice. True. So Rakesh says a very valid point. It is not out of choice. It is the need of the hour. It will take a toll on health. Yes, sir. It is definitely taking toll on health. No doubt about it. But many millennials today are preferring this. And why so? Somebody would like to give it a shot. I can see that it will take a toll. It is not a choice. Sometimes you want to do it and you're more comfortable with this. Why? Anybody? Lokesh, would you like to unmute and tell us what do you mean when you say procrastinate the things? It'll give us more idea. No, I think Lokesh is Wi-Fi issues. Lokesh, so sorry, Lokesh, can't hear you.
Okay, a small problem in the audio, Lokesh. Can you just?
I like the tune of the answer, Lokesh, but we can't hear you. So sorry, I'm seeing great answers here. And while Lokesh is back, maybe somebody else can give it a try. You need to be able to work across time zones. Great answer, Vijay. I think that is something which I have seen when I've started working. I think we'll have to mute Lokesh.
Yes, sir. Yes.
It does not go up to the schedules.
Rakesh says gives me flexibility and I can manage things better. Perfect, Rakesh. Pranesh says millennials want flexibility in everything, right? So, Pranesh, if you would like to just come forward and just tell us that why do you feel that we want flexibility in everything, and do you feel it's good or bad? Any comment there, Pranesh? Will be good to hear from you.
I believe the baby boomers are more of, as you rightly told, baby boomers are more of a structured group of generation, and they look for proper timing. As you can see in this schedule, it is from 9 to 5 every day. Even Saturday and Sunday, they will also have a schedule. You put only Monday to Friday, but Saturday and Sunday also they do have a proper
schedule.
You'll
have 9 to 5, right? Yeah, absolutely.
However, the millennials, for example, you are telling about the travel patterns of the millennials. They don't have a structured travel pattern, which means their time of sleep, the time they chat, the time they have their food, everything differs from every day. So literally they don't have a proper control. They don't want to have a control, rather. They don't want to be controlled by anybody. And one more thing is they must be very clear about what they are supposed to do. So if someone is, let's say, I'm a boss to a millennial, the millennial expects that what is expected out of me. And you don't ask me to have some a structured timing to complete it.
Great.
Just ask me to complete it. That's all. I will ensure that it is completed.
True. Absolutely, Pranesh. I think I will not spend much time on this because Pranesh has rightly answered and shared his thoughts here, right? We are seeing answers about flex timings will help in multitasking, and millennials want to work for global timings, right? I mean, as I said, there is no right or wrong. It can take a toll on someone's health, but this is what we choose to do, right? I want flexibility. I want to log in at 10 and maybe log out at 2 again and come in at 3 again, right? I want to take that break and snooze and then come back and give my best shot. As Pranesh said, you give me a project, you give me a deadline, I will do it for you. Don't expect me to start certain time or end at certain time, because yes, I will be available for most of the time when the organization is working, because I will have to collaborate with others. But having said that, I'll also like to have my flexibility so that I can refresh and come back and give my best shot, right? So there is no right or wrong. But yeah, boomers will find it difficult to manage millennials because we are more flexible, especially with work from home situation. I think this is the need of the hour with global organizations working on different shifts. This is how it operates, right? So it's a beneficial.
Chirag, can I add something?
Please, Rakesh.
Chirag, as you were saying that the attention span of the millennials is quite low, so they want constant change and they can manage things better if they may be given multiple things, but they keep switching from one thing to the other and they cannot focus on one thing for long. And if they are given this option to move things and complete things, suppose 10 things are given and in a round robin fashion they are allowed to complete, then they will be able to make it more efficiently rather than work on one thing and complete it at a stretch. That's why they need this flexibility.
Absolutely, Rakesh. I think so valid, right? And these seems to be so basic things, but these are the practical problems and practical challenges that boomers are facing while managing millennials, right? They don't understand that why this person is not available 9 to 5 when I am available and I'm giving him liberty after 5. They have to empathize with millennials, and that is what is happening. And millennials who are becoming leaders now are empathizing with Gen Z on similar aspects, that yes, they want flexibility. Multitasking is something, in any case, it's a myth, right? If you read this book by Gary Keller, one thing, he will clearly show you evidences that there's no such thing called as multitasking. You work on one thing, you give it your 100% focus for a bit, and then you move on to the other. You prioritize that, and maybe you spend a little more time on it, and you come back to this. At the same time, you cannot do two things. Apart from maybe you can walk and brush, those things don't require that much of focus. But if you're working on important projects or important hobby as well, or you're passionate about something, you cannot do two things at a time, right? And millennials love this flexibility and they're able to do better. Thank you so much for contributing here, all of you. Micromanagement need only what to do, how to do will be figured by them. Absolutely, this is something told by Pranesh as well. Great. Moving on, we will have many conversations about it. Communication, I scheduled a bi-weekly meeting. Millennials are saying I am available to chat 24/7, right? As I said earlier, constant communication, and if you don't adapt to this, millennials will get frustrated. They want somebody to be available whenever possible. Though they look at flexibility, they give flexibility to you as well. But at the same time, if they ask you something, if they have agreed upon mutual timelines, they want to get it done there and then. Some facts of 2020, right, which have come up based on a couple of research papers. This generation has, if you see under these three categories, this generation is proving to be the one which is thinking about two extremes of the spectrum, right? If you look at the x-axis, one generation talks about one extreme. In same generation, one student talks about another extreme. To give you an example, high achievers, right, on the right hand side, all of us want to become an high achiever. Maybe that's the DNA that we carry as a millennial or zillennial. But within high achievers also, they have different goals and different ways of achieving them, right? That's the flexibility which we spoke of. At present, the one person says, I do not think that my work-life balance is great. However, I blame this on myself as I'm passionate and dedicated. I take the responsibility, right? I know that my work-life balance is not up to the mark. It is taking a toll. I'm working 12 hours straight on most of the days, including my Saturday and Sunday. However, I am ready to do it. I'm passionate about it, right? As long as I love this, I will do it, and I'm fine with it. On the other side, same generation, you'll have a testimonial from a student who would say, or a young professional, I have a great chance to move back home with COVID or non-COVID and save lots of money. I'm okay to go back and stay with my family. Though I'm independent, I will achieve my goals with them, maybe go a little slow on my independence, but I will save some money. If I have to take a break, I do that, and I'm still a high achiever, right? FOMO generation, fear of missing out. I love the fact that I am able to study something that was not related to my job. We are okay to learn about so many things. 70% of millennials today are okay to put their savings aside to learn something new. And 50% of them are okay to do it even if it is not related to their jobs, right? I mean, it's amazing to see that my investment will go into self-directed learning, and I'm okay to learn something which is not even related to my job today, right? Social odyssey, you see again two spectrum. One side, this person is worried about so much happening on social media. I see that, it's overwhelming to see that constant achievements are happening, people of my age, what they post, and I am influenced by it. On the other side, I choose to set up my own brand. I will manage social media, and the way it reacts, I don't care. I am the new boss of my social media. I know how to manage it, right? So same generation, varied thoughts. How you can differ. So do not worry if you at one point in time you feel that, okay, I can take a break today, I am not in the mainstream of corporate jobs, it's fine. I take a break, I do something on the social side, I come back and join the rut, right? But it's fine to be out of it. It's fine to do something of your own, and sometimes even not to do something, right? I will come to a couple of questions in coming slides which will be interesting to know. But opening up again in the chat box, what are the traits that you see in millennials are positive? Let's talk about the positive traits here, if possible. What are the positive traits that you see as a millennial that you have? One positive trait from few students. I'm okay then to proceed. What is a positive trait of a millennial? Just one words, right? You can put some adjectives like confident, or overconfident can be a negative one. But yeah, what else do you feel? Anybody use the chat box, any adjective that you feel is making you look positive? Great. I'm liking the conversations now. Great, guys. I hope you're comfortable. Highly committed, well exposed, easy to get acquainted, and friendly. True. Questioning ability, we have the ability to question the status quo, and that too with right questions. Outspoken, we don't shy away from what we have in our heads. Adopting technology very, very fast from day one. Most of us had mobiles, not me, most of you had mobiles, and you feel so confident about using it. Great. Adaptable, we adapt to situation. Today you put me, and that we saw in previous slides also, you put me on this shift, I'm fine. You put me another with a different manager, I'm fine. Great. So these are the positives. What are the negatives? Let's look at the cons as well. I would not use the word negative, but what is something that we can work upon? One word again. Great answers. Less health conscious. I will debate that, Pranesh, and thank you for bringing that up because I have one question on it. Less health conscious, guys. I mean, just hold on to this thought. Are we really less health conscious, or are we very conscious, or what is the reality? We'll see some facts about it. Thanks, Pranesh. Challenges. Sir, would you like to elaborate? When we say challenges, is it bad or a good quality?
They challenge the conventions.
They challenge the conventional
conventional thinking.
Great.
Yeah, conventional
so
methods.
Is that good, sir? Is that good or bad as per you?
Balanced view. Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
Bad, absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. And we'll come to that. Why I'm asking that is because
Yeah.
we challenge usually sometimes without understanding the reality behind it. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Lack of empathy. Yes. Very, very important life skill that we should have, sir. And baby boomers and most of previous generations had it in abundance, right? Unlearning can be good, can be bad, right? It's good that you unlearn and move and you just learn something new. Getting bored easily, we are not focused, lack of patience, self-centered, attention seeking. Wow, I wasn't expecting most of the answer which I'm going to show here. Less attentive and taking advice, right? Let me just take a brief click. Perfect. So yeah, these are the ones which are just 5 out of so many positive traits that we might see. Pioneering, right? Confident also. There are many traits that you've already mentioned. Confident, bold, well connected, well networked, individualist, inventive. Pioneering will always have an overlap, but all the others that you've already mentioned were also part of the bigger library, which I'm not showing here. What is sometimes going against us? Entitled. From day one, very, very important when you go to your first job. All the baby boomers, most of them would depends online even for cooking. Great answer there. We depend on cooking these days, right? Everything is available on YouTube. Coddled, entitled. From day one, we feel that when we are joining an organization, I will not do the field job, right? I will not do the stuff that anybody with non-MBA can do it, right? There are challenges around it, and I'll share some practical challenges with you. Materialistic. Sometimes we see that my peer is at this salary or these many cars or these many houses in 10 years. Where am I right now? Believe you me, 10 years down the line, when I look back, I feel, at least till COVID happened, till pandemic happened, I didn't have that realization. I was also too materialistic about things. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to unlearn few things which are not important. But overall, we are still materialistic. Coddled, we believe that somebody will take care of us, will give us a very nice induction, nice job, cozy job, easily influenced also, right? Whatever happens on social media, we take a stand based on whatever comes the next day, we change our stand also. Disengaged, because we are not so focused, we get bored easily. Narcissistic, techno savvy is a positive trait, right? These are the traits which are there as per the global library, just for you to keep a note of it and see back in your heads, what do you relate to, what do you not. Some things you might, some things you might not. Good side, good part on the left hand side is which is about the learnability, right? The scorecard for success is very, very positive, where 29% of learners today, of millennials today, global millennials, not Indian millennials, right, are high learners. They're very optimistic about job prospects. They are very, very confident about ability to get another job even if they don't have a job today, right? They take responsibility from training themselves. On the other side, there are potential learners also who are almost similar. They, as I said earlier, you are willing to spend your own time to train yourself. So 64 plus 29, I mean, 90% of almost 90% of millennials are today ready to invest in themselves, confident to take a step forward, and only 7% are there who don't have any appetite, which is a very, very, very slow, very, very low percentage, right? Today, learnability score, learnability is nothing but the ability to learn something new is very high in this generation, right? So please be positive about it, have some confidence, because that's your trait, and continue with positive aspect, right? I can see something there. They want everything on their table, on the platter, and wants quick progress in their career, right? Yeah. I mean, and AB InBev, if I have to share examples, we try to change careers every 6 months, depending on the potential the person has. 6 months. I have never seen any such career trajectory for students until now, but that's how the global organizations that are growing and evolving are looking at millennials and giving them opportunities. But you have to be different from others. You have to do something nobody else is doing, or very few people in the team are doing, right? Any questions here? Feel free to stop me. Any questions that you may have, and then we'll go to our true or false.
Chirag, you are just you asked to hold the thought on the health consciousness, right? What?
Yes. So that is my next slide, sir, and that will come in our true or false as well.
Okay.
Anything else on this slide?
Chirag, I had a question for you. There are organizations which deal with the baby boomers who are the end customers. Now they require their answers from millennials. Let's say, there are a lot of customers who have to deal with millennials to get their problems resolved.
Yeah.
So how do you deal in a situation where an organization is customer centric and they want the millennials to be available for customer calls from an X time to X time. If everybody takes, I'm coming at 2 o'clock today, somebody is not willing to come tomorrow, how do you deal with the situation where you have end customers who want you at a specific time on a specific day at a specific hour?
True, Mr. Vijay, and very practical issue again. Especially, I'll share my experience from retail. Retail is the main domain wherein we have gone to campuses. We've hired management trainees from various premium institutes earlier. Very rosy induction being given to them, and we are at fault. You want to score high, so-called high percentage when you go to certain campuses. You want to give them good experience because it's a two-way street, right? It's a win-win situation wherein you get good students on board, you give them good experience, and others will join in. Irrespective of giving them good inductions, everything, a good career trajectory, the global phenomena still is that within 24 months, all the millennials, all the management trainees in their first jobs are leaving their jobs, right? 50% of management trainees leave their jobs in first 2 years. So nothing is working out. We are still trying to evolve, but in retail, especially this challenge that this millennial in particular is facing or was facing when I was there was to deal with customers who are a baby boomers, right? I mean, customers are still having their old thought process of running business, and millennials come in with a very new thought of changing the business, right? So first as an organization, we had to change. We had to align with millennials in terms of what ideas they are giving us. Then slowly the baby boomers, Mr. Vijay, what happened with us was the baby boomers in my corporation itself had to take this ownership in the leadership position and slowly acquaint or slowly induct my franchisees. We had to go to respective stores, train our franchisee staff and the owners also, that this is how the things are changing. First take them on board and then align with them gradually. It is an exercise which will not happen overnight. It took us at least, I remember, 2 to 3 years in going back to all the franchises and making them aligned with our millennial area sales managers, because most of the area sales managers that we hire deal with them, and first 2 years were horrendous. Everybody was struggling. This guy was not willing to give up on flexibility. Franchisee wanted more structure around it. Slowly, what I have seen also is most of the franchisees have also realized that most of them have this as a family business, right? So they've started getting their kids into this, who are millennials again. So things are changing, things are looking positive. But right now, corporates are trying to induct franchisees rather than spending time on millennials, because that's the need of the hour, Mr. Vijay. Hope I could answer.
Thank you very much for that. I think that's one of the challenges most organizations are dealing with. But as you rightly said, each organization is coming up with their solutions, getting them inducted in a manner that the end result is to see that the customer is kept happy and the customer continues to buy.
True. And front-ending jobs are facing these issues, whereas internally, in corporate, everybody is aligned. Everybody knows that this is how we have to operate. So it is not very difficult to align internally. But as you said, very valid that when you go outside, it's very difficult to convince, especially those customers who have these baby boomers in leading authority.
True. Thank you.
No problem. Great. So any other questions also, please feel free to put it in the chat box and we'll take it up. Quickly, I would request you maybe on the next slide to get your phones or devices with you on hand and just feel free to answer this. This is a true or false. Join at slido.com. I will give you a few seconds and put this hashtag there and answer this question for me, please. And you will see the numbers on the right hand side. As soon as we touch maybe 40, 50, I can share answers. 63% prefer to work for the same organization with new opportunities. True or false? 63% of millennials, zillennials prefer to work for the same organization with new opportunities. Is it true or false? Just log into slido.com and put this hashtag. Any questions, let me know. If you have logged in, are you facing any issues, sir? If you can also try and let me know.
Okay. Let me.
No issues.
Great. I can see people, students voting already. Great. What do you, true or false? 63%. Just a simple answer on Slido will help. We have 4 responses right now on the screen. Great. 5, Let us have some substantial number and then I can click next. Slido.com on your phone, just go to any browser, type slido.com and put this hashtag 66524. And then you can log in for this small quiz. I won't be seeing your names or answers, so just put true or false. Great, we are at 16. We have around 68 participants here. I'm expecting at least to touch 30. Great, 20. Any issues, just let me know. I can guide you better. If you don't have your phones, you can also use your laptops, any device. It will work everywhere. 24, great. We'll just try to touch 30. 27. Sorry, I'm taking a little extra time, but it's always good to see what maximum percentage things here. 3 more, come on. No problem. You can keep answering. I'll just click here. True. 63% prefer to work for the same organization with new opportunities. And the answer, as per the crowd here, when we're looking at 29-30 responses, 70% of us feel that it's true. Let's see what the stat says. 70-30. Great. We have touched the magic number 30-31. Great.
Okay.
I will tell you the answer as well in the end. Millennials are making or saving 20% less than their parents did when they were the same age. So can you still see the presentation or can you see another window here?
We can see your quiz.
We can see the presentation, but this poll again, is the code is different, Chirag? Or?
This is a different question, sir. Yes, it might have come on the as a second question on the same.
Yeah, it has come. It has come.
Great.
Yeah.
Millennials are making or saving 20% less than their parents did when they were the same age. Right. So while you're voting, we'll look at the previous question as well, which spoke about how many are ready to stay back when the opportunities are there. The global stat says it is true, but it is true only and only if the students are getting an opportunity or young professionals are getting a new opportunity every 12 months. As a millennial, as a zillennial, I'm okay to stay in this brand with AB InBev if every 1 year I am being given a different challenge. So that is the average that we're looking at. So very, very challenging for organizations today to incorporate this, but that's the need of the hour again, right? If organizations have to survive, as you said, 40% of us will be millennials by the end of the next year and or by the end of next 2 years. Important to keep this stat in mind that all of us will stay with you unless you don't give us an opportunity within 1 year, right? So I will move on an average. I'm saying it's a global average. Maybe in India, we might stay for 2 years, if not 1, right? This one, we have got 32 years. Let's see what is the poll looking like. Great. Millennials are making or saving 20% less than their parents did when they were the same age. I would like to open this. Why do you feel this is true? Anybody? Very, very interesting answer. Why do you feel that you are saving 20% or making 20% less than your parents? Good, bad? Anybody would like to share their thoughts?
Chirag, Rakesh here.
Hi, Rakesh.
Millennials are more interested in living and enjoying their life and thinking less about the future and believing their capability to earn more with time rather than thinking about the future and saving for the same.
Right. So Rakesh, great point. Do you think it's good, bad? What is your take?
since millennials are equipped with that kind of they have those kind of opportunities available. As long as those opportunities are available and they have those competencies to leverage those opportunities, that is good. If they are too confident and become overconfident, that will take them for a toss.
Great, Rakesh. Thank you so much. And as we saw in previous slides, also that very, very confident in finding a new job, very confident about their abilities, and that's why maybe that is one of the major factors that we feel that okay, we'll go with the flow. And as I said, materialistic is also playing a very important role here, right? Sometimes, and most of the global population, especially the US, is always in debt, right? The young professionals are in debt all the time. 90% of them are in debt, right? And when you ask about what is your earnings are always less than what their expenses have been, right? So very important. As Indians, we don't have that in our culture because our seniors, our parents have inculcated that, but that is changing because we are easily influenced by what is happening in Western countries as well, right? So just a food for thought. It is true. We are making and saving. Making also is less because keeping the value of money. If I'm earning a lakh today, maybe my parents earning 30K was better than this 1 lakh, right? So keep that in mind. Stats are against us, and we are 20% making lesser, 20% when it comes to older generations, right? So keep that in mind. Let's try to be very cautious of what is going to happen next. COVID and pandemic is one of the examples which was so uncertain and nobody could predict, right? And if you were out of savings and without a job, would have been very, very difficult for us mentally as well, right? Keeping that in mind, I'm no one to say it's right or wrong. Next one, 70% of Zillennials don't prefer friending their managers or co-workers on Facebook. Please read it carefully before you vote. 70% of us don't prefer, I'm saying, right? So when you say true, it means that you are aligned that we don't prefer. And when you say false, it means that 70% of us prefer, right? So what is your answer here? Do you prefer, you don't prefer? Or what do you feel? Great. 11, 12. 70% of millennials don't prefer friending their managers on Facebook, on social media. When you say true, it means that they don't prefer. So just a quick time check. How much time do we have so that I don't go overboard, which I see I will.
Chirag, we don't have any constraints.
Great. So I'll try to wrap it up.
As long as you have no constraints.
No problem, sir. I'll try to wrap it up in next 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep it interactive so that,
Yeah.
more than theory, we should spend time on these challenges.
Yeah.
Great. We are at 24. Anybody, please keep answering. Your answers are adding value when we look at the percentage and what it's a self check, right? To see where do we stand actually when it comes to global stats. Sometimes when we are not aligned with stats, it's a good time to stop and realize, okay, maybe I'm going wrong. Great. 26. Let the answers flow in. True. We are saying that 70% don't prefer friending their managers, right? The answer is false. And 35% of you who said this, you prefer. Most of and this is the global millennial trait, right? It is not Indian, as I said. 70% of us are preferring to have friends with managers while we are still working with them, right? And very, very cautious point to make here. Though we know we will be friends with this person, we expect our managers to not judge us or our peers to not judge us based on what activities we do on LinkedIn. But you have to again trust me here. We are humans end of the day. What you post on LinkedIn, sometimes I see a comment I don't like. I will tend to be a little biased about confirmation bias, right? I always thought that Lokesh was like this, and he's little radical at work also, and his thoughts are coming on social media as well. Just be a little cautious. I'm not saying that your manager is right about it, but there are chances that it might hinder your opportunity at an organization where you're working, right? So try to be very cautious when you become friends with them. Come what may, end of the day, they are your peers, they are your colleagues. They might end up looking at you from an angle which was not expected. There are students who have posted something about an organization or certain situation on social media platform last month, and that person was fired because hundreds of people commented him and went to his employer, tagging employer, how can you let this person comment on certain social issues while he's on a very prominent social media, right? So be very careful when you do it. There is no harm in friending them, and we are doing it as per global stat, but be wary of the consequences. 15% of millennials never want to retire. True or false? What do you feel? What is your gut feeling? If you are a millennial, if you're a zillennial, let's vote. You never want to retire. Some reason my chat is not working. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Great. Sorry, my browser is not working. Great. 15% of millennials ever want to retire. True or false? Come on. Just one click from you will help us understand better. I'm sorry, Professor Sriraman, would you be able to read what is there in the chat box? My cursor is not taking me there.
Yes, sir. In the chat box, the wants quick progress in their career.
I think, sir, last two comments, if you can see, only last two.
Last two comments, fear of future, and the last one is impulse in buying in many things because of easy finance.
Nothing pertinent to this, if I'm right.
Yeah. I think on the previous slides, it's savings one. Great answer. Yes. Perfect. 15% of millennials ever want to retire. What is the poll here? 50-50. I like it. So 50% of us feel that we want to retire. And as I said earlier, right, that's where we are when it comes to our generation. We are at different ends of the spectrum. Some of us feel that I will work so hard and I'm not worried about my work-life balance. On the other side, we feel that, okay, it's okay to retire and just sit back, spend some time with family, and 50% exactly, 12 and 12. Great. So, right. So the stat here is, it's true. 15% of millennials, global millennials, never want to retire. 85% of us still want to retire. Good news. But 15% of millennials are saying they'll work for their lives and they will peacefully exit from this world, right? They are going to be the fattest generation in recorded history. Sir, we are talking about being health conscious. Let's see what the answer here, what the group thinks. Are you going to be the fattest generation in recorded history based on the facts and how we are moving right now? What do you feel? I think this is the last one. Fattest, not so healthy generation in the history. Are you going to be the one in next 5 years? Or whenever the next generation comes in? We are at 21, few more. Okay, 22. We'll see how is it changing. 70% of us are saying true, and the answer is true, right? We tend to say we are very, very health conscious. We like to have, Cure Fit on our apps, on our phones. We love to show it off when somebody calls us for a meeting and we say, just give me an hour. I'm just in my yoga session, right? And just give me half an hour. I'm just doing my plank. I'm at the last bit of my dips. But the reality is, it talks otherwise, right? We end of the day, if we put 30 minutes into our session, maybe we end up eating more junk than all the generations have eaten collectively in past, right? So it's true. If we continue, and as I said, we can't predict, but if we continue at the rate at what we are right now, we are going to be the fattest generation in recorded history. So please, let us not embarrass ourselves in front of next generations coming in. Let's be more cautious and put right kind of effort rather than just using it as a post on Instagram or social media. Let's put actual effort behind it, right? 80% of millennials think jeans should be
Chirag, I want to emphasize one point here.
Please.
All these questions and also the standards, what we are discussing so far, I am concerned. I am very particular about one point you are told. There is a point you told that is global millennials or Indian millennials. So definitely there is a lot of difference between the when we fix up these millennial standards with the global and also Indian. I think it's a lot of gap still it is there. We cannot take it as a millions only the part of a particular kind of a segment or a business segment. If you overall, if you take at the entire Indian millennials, there is a lot of gap between the global millennials and the Indian millennials. This is my view, Mr.
Absolutely, Mr. Rasapan. I mean, that's why, I also took an opportunity to repeat it again and again so that we understand that these are the facts in which India as one of the countries has participated. But end of the day, it's a global fact, and maybe we are way off the average which is here, right? So as a culture, when it comes to spending also, I have seen many students, many young professionals who are most of the time very positive, right? We are very, very positive in terms of cash flow, I'm saying, not in our mindset. Most of us are very conscious also, but come what may, I'm also seeing a very great shift, especially on social media, and this is just on my personal observations, wherein I see that more than we do, we like to brand it more than what we are actually doing, right? And then Mr. Asapan rightly said there is a lot of gap in overall culture itself between us and them, and there is a lot of work which is to be done. So some of these things are not directly related to us, but there is always a chance that in coming couple of years, students on this call might feel that, okay, I'm becoming a part of this trend. I hope we are aligned on this.
Yes, we are aligned. Thank you. Especially when you look at the last question, the health part.
Yeah.
The first world countries are the segment where we are in Canada or USA. The millennials are so very particular about their health consciousness, especially on the current millennials. They want to have a lot of they are working on it. But some of the segments, the same area, some of the segments are not into that kind of a line. So there will be a yes, no kind of a thing. So that's what I want to mention.
True. And McDonald's recorded its biggest revenue still, right? I mean, people are still eating junk in the US and nobody's learning from it. I think easily distracted, plus the craving, the self-control when it comes to overall diet will take some more time, right? And for us, especially Indians, I feel our homemade food is something that we find it very difficult when we move outside of the country or even sometimes outside of the city, right? But global millennials and upcoming generation is still finding it very comfortable to work in nuclear families, come up with new keto diets. So I'm very hopeful about it.
Yes. Thank you.
Great. 80% of millennials think jeans should be allowed at work. You don't have to answer anywhere. And I come from jeans background, so this is my favorite part. I always ask. Yes, all of us want to come to work wearing casuals. And fortunately, wherever I have worked until now, I was never asked to wear formals apart from Mondays at certain places, right? So great. Just few facts to spend time. I'll not spend much time here, but a very important fact here, which you see top 5 priorities when we are looking for a job as per 2020 December data here. 92% of us think about money first. Nothing is changing there. 9 out of 10 people are switching jobs just because of compensation, right? As Mr. Rasapan said, yes, maybe in India this stat will be 7 out of 10, but we are still part of this global average, right? Job security is 87%. It has increased because of pandemic as well. Holidays, travel, if I get to travel in this job, chances are higher that I would like to be a part of it, right? Great people to work with is 80% of us want to work with great people who can mentor us. And then 79% of us, I'm so sorry, while I'm sharing my screen, I can't see the last point. It says something about flexible, right? Can somebody
flexible working?
Flexible working, right? And all of us
Flexible.
said, I think that's one of our traits also, that we want flexibility while working as well, right? And right hand side is something which is very alarming here when I'm looking at the stat where India stands apart, right? Stands out. 52 hours of millennials are saying that, millennials are saying that 52% of workforce, or sorry, most of us are working for 52 hours a week. Whereas countries like, I don't see Japan doing 50 hours, right? Japan is known for great working hours or good number of working hours, and we have kept them behind now because of pandemic. Maybe our hours worked per week are touching 52 hours. I mean, 52 by 5, 52 by 6. Just see the stat. Where are we? Right? So please don't set this up as an example for next generation, even if the need of R is same. Let's try to see how we can push back and bring this number down to at least 15 next couple of years, right? So if you look at the top stat, when we see Africa, 93% of them want to work outside their home country here, right? Obviously, they don't have enough opportunities. They want to move out. And Asia, including China, Japan, India, Singapore, 69% of them want to work outside of their home country, right? They want to explore options outside, and that's why travel is something which is at a very high priority list for us. Diversity and inclusion, a very good standout factor, including AB InBev today has taken up diversity as one of the major accomplishments that they look forward to as a part of vision in 2021, because millennials today are saying that 47% of them believe that they would like to join a job wherein diversity is considered in top 3 or 5 priorities, right? So this is how it is changing. These are some facts. I'll not spend much time here. Unless you have a question, please go ahead and stop me. On the music part, how we have evolved, right? From 1940s, Beatles, Jimi Hendrix, Doors, to how we have evolved to Lady Gaga and all the DJs, so-called DJs. And DJ Academy is something that I could relate to on a lighter note. But so-called DJs, music has transformed completely, right? And baby boomers are struggling to understand the music taste. Very important to understand how music is evolving, because as a baby boomer, if I'm going to manage a millennial tomorrow, or as a millennial, I'm going to manage a Gen Z, I have to understand the taste, because some of my conversations, important conversations, will happen with my manager in a very informal setting, in a pub, in a bar, who knows, right? In a Friday night party somewhere. So I have to understand what kind of music is like my team member, but I find it difficult to relate. How computers have evolved from 1940s to 2020s, we have become digital natives. Technology from no computers and no idea of what is a personal computer to digital natives is a big transformation that we have seen, right? So we are learning. We need to be empathetic to this generation while we are working with so many managers above us. How phones have evolved. Average age of receiving first cell phone for 1940 guys or girls would be, they are 50 years old and they saw phone for the first time. And today 9 years old are holding phones, right? Or 5 years old are holding phones. Very difficult to adapt to it. College, rise of liberal arts happened for them in 1940s, and today we are looking at alternate education of giving homeschool environment, right? We don't want a basic 9 to 12 schooling. We want our kids to go out and have some alternate kind of very fancy term as a millennial parent, right? Finances, now the lending and credit is happening a lot. Earlier, more than 80% of baby boomers were having their personal financial assets, and now Gen Z is being forced to learn about stringent habits of saving money, right? Just few facts here, not very important. Vital millennial concepts. Unless somebody has any questions, please let me know. Any questions from previous slides? I'll take a pause for a few seconds if you have anything. I think we are good.
Yeah. We can go ahead.
Great. Reverse mentoring. If somebody can unmute and tell me before we move forward, who are these 3 characters? Come on, Gen Z, I'm expecting this from you.
Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda is the movie, yes. Will you be able to tell me who is who from right to left?
Right is the panda.
What is the name? Okay, let's say Panda. Who is next to it?
Master Shifu.
Master Shifu, great. And who's the first one?
Don't know, sir.
Okay, anybody else? Thank you, Karthik.
Po,
Shifu, and you can Google, no problem. Po, Shifu, and Oogway, right? That is Master Oogway. And reverse mentoring as a concept is something that if you become a professional tomorrow, try to get this into place as a leader, because this is something which has come up in last few years, but at the same time, very vital concept for you to get some brownie points, right? So please keep that in mind, that reverse mentoring is very important, wherein most of the organizations today, what they're doing is that as a leader, I am not very open to have somebody who has just joined an organization 1 year or 2 years back to teach me something. And the organizations which are failing to align with this concept are failing to evolve as well. You know, the speed which is expected today, or the growth, so-called growth in terms of capitalism, which is expected today, will struggle if reverse mentoring is not in place, because there is always something to learn from both these generations, right? As sir mentioned earlier, lack of empathy. Empathy is such an important life skill that we don't have today. It's our weakness as a generation, right? It is something which is not coming naturally to us. So we have to work on it. We should work on it. We should try to empathize with our managers and see, okay, this person has a thought process. He doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. I will try to make him understand in his own way, give him some more time, and give him opportunity to understand how I want to operate. On the other side, managers are very open to have such conversations. They've started to realize that yes, there is always something more to learn, even for a master, right? So when you join an organization, try to bring this up as an initiative if it is not there already, because this will make your life and your manager's life much easier, right? Moving forward, engagement. On the engagement part, I will not spend time here because there are a couple of important slides I want to cover. This is something that why do millennials switch jobs? We've already seen. One thing I would like to tell you on this is that one part, I've seen many management trainees coming in and leaving us within 1 year, 2 years, right? And the reason they have given me in their exit interviews on the last day is also that my batchmate in another college is with certain brand, and he or she travels to Hong Kong, travels to the US every year at least once. I am traveling to only Delhi, sir. I cannot work here. Please think twice before you come up with these reasons, right? Please try to see, because this person, when he or she joined the new organization, left it within 9 months and insisted on hiring him back, right? And we didn't have an opportunity. Good guy, very good performer, struggled in the wrong type of place because his choice of a job was based or relied on certain parameters which are not strong enough. I don't get enough travel. Relax, look at the job. How much enrichment do you get from it? Sir, I don't get, this person is at certain salary and I am 10% less than him. If you match it, I will stay back. No, I will not match it. If that is your primary reason, management will take it up to their ego. I'm sorry to say this. I will take it up to my ego also. And the fact is, even if I give you 10% today, tomorrow, how can I believe that another 10% I don't give you, you will not leave me? If that is your criteria, be smart enough to at least talk about it, right? You talk about the real time challenges. Even if you are at certain CTC in first 2-3 years of your job, always remember, everything is a byproduct. As long as your job profile, that you learn something from it and you give it back to an organization, you like the culture, as long as these three things are aligned, everything else will follow. All my batchmates, including myself, if I'm starting at the least salary when I started, compensation was always covered, and most of us are doing better than most of our previous generations also, right? So we don't look at it as the primary requirement. We look at it as a byproduct, and when you look at it as a byproduct, that's when you will actually see that there is a difference, that you will do much better than your previous generations. Look at the facts before you make your move, before you leave any organization, so that you don't struggle, right? Just a food for thought here. Moving on, a very nice slide. Women employees as DNI is something which is a priority. Very nice thought here that women employees have very high empathy, right? As sir also mentioned, that's why I told sir to hold on to their thought. Women employees or women in general come with very high empathy, right? We can't help it, but we can always build on empathy. If you see, millennials think they will need to take a break. Female employees are taking break to care for others. Male employees are mostly taking breaks to take care of themselves, right? So there is a difference. If you see, there is a number which is a good number at the top also, that 32% of fathers are now taking break to take care of child. It's a very good change. Earlier it was 0 and we are at 3 out of 10 people. As a father, I would like to take a break tomorrow. I will let my wife sit back, work, continue with her aspirations. I will take care of the kid. 3 out of 10. I mean, that's a good number, right? But having said that, women employees, female employees are still way ahead of us. There is something which is very good, and that's why we should respect. We should have that mutual respect. And right now, we are having very open conversations about how we can give more opportunities to both the genders. Right? We should not. I'm not somebody who will say that okay, you should celebrate or you should give more opportunities to one gender. No, you should keep both the genders in mind. Somebody has more potential, and somebody doesn't have it. Meritocracy will play an important role, gender will not, right? Keep that in mind, and just a data to look at. Personal branding. Let me just check how much time do I have. I'm sorry, I have another appointment after this. Okay, I'll try to cover this very, very important point of personal branding. Employer branding is something which an employer does, right? Somebody would like to give it a shot. What is personal branding and how is it important? Would you like to give it a try? Anybody, you can unmute or put it on the chat box. Why do you feel personal branding is important?
Ambitious people who want to grow faster, they need to have their own branding, and that comes in when you work for organizations which already have a big enough or strong enough brand, and along with that, if you contribute individually, that makes a very powerful combination. And ambitious people who want to grow quite fast, this plays a very big role.
Right. And also, Rakesh, I mean, great answer. And also, I think non-ambitious people also, for them, it's all the more important because non-ambitious people sometimes will have to heavily rely on personal branding, right? I mean, if you're not so ambitious, your brand is good enough. There are chances that somebody will always have a seat on the table. Somebody having a seat on the table will always speak for you, right? And your branding will take you, will do wonders for you. And give you opportunities that sometimes you didn't even expect. But yeah, ambitious people definitely should have personal branding. Personal branding is an asset for lifetime, right? And how do you do personal branding? I'm not asking you to share your thoughts here. If you want to make a note, up to you. These are the 5 basic steps which have come out, that how do you brand yourself? You know, people know that personal branding is important, but how do you do that? Decide your brand. How would you like to? Today, Chirag Suchak wants to leave AB InBev, and tomorrow, if he or she or Chirag wants to join back, how would I like myself to be remembered in this brand? How would I market myself? You know, it's a very strategic thing. You would feel that it can't come to you artificially. It can come to you artificially. But if it's natural, nothing like it. Decide that, okay, my strength is this. Naturally, I'm a very hardworking person. I'm very positive. I want my colleagues to see me or remember me as hardworking. Do something about it. Decide on what you want to come across as. Then second, make a story around it. If you want to come across as hardworking and you're not hardworking at all, you're not collaborating with your with your partners, with your peers, you will not come across as hardworking, right? You decided your brand, but if you don't add a story to it, if you don't write it well, both on your online social identity, it should call out everything that you do, right? If you want to come across as a collaborative HR business partner tomorrow or a marketing professional, you have to show it in your action. You have to build a story around it. You have to prove it to your colleagues, right? Then only they'll remember you as that. Be the owner of it. You know, physical appearance, I'm not talking about good looking, bad looking, fair, unfair. No, I'm not talking about your looks. I'm talking about basic courtesy of presenting yourself when you go for any conversation, when you show up for a casual conversation. Also be there in the most presentable appearance. It creates an impact, believe you me. Knowledge, have some data about what you want to do. Have some knowledge about, if you're hardworking, if you know, if you're a subject matter expert, why are you subject matter expert? Prove it to people. Show your achievements. Show it in your LinkedIn. Show it to people and talk about it as often as possible. Most important part, as I said, if you don't talk, if you don't create your buzz, as I made it zillennials, you know, I made it a zing. You have to create the Z factor. You know, define your X factor, understand why it is there, and create some buzz about it. If people don't know about your X factor, there is no point having an X factor, right? Learn something new, needless to say, and all of you have this natural trait. New skills change every few years. Be disruptive. Very good example I'll give you. We hired a person 2 years back, 3 years back, in fact. This guy was an engineer and was hired for coding. 2 years later, when a personal development plan, when a promotional interview happened for him, he said, we asked him, what are you doing outside of your professional journey? He's saying, I'm learning Russian. We asked, we're very curious. Your job doesn't require you to deal with Russia. Your job doesn't require you to code in Russian language. What is it that inspires you? He said, I want to be aware that tomorrow, if I want to become a teacher in Russia, I should be fluent or I should have that command over language, right? And he took another extreme step, coding engineering for 10 years, and he believes that tomorrow, if he has to go to Russia, he can do it. And he's already a certified trainer in Russia in Russian language, right? So that's the kind of skill you should have. Pick up a skill like running. Very, very good example. Why I'm saying running. Today you start with 400 meters. Tomorrow compete with yourself. Do not compete with me. Do not compete with others, right? Just come forward. Today you ran 200 meters. Tomorrow you run 201 meter. I'm not even talking about 300 meters. 201 meter. Check your time. How much time did you take day after tomorrow? Just keep competing with yourself, and that will do wonders, because come what may, even if you have one person ahead of you today in organization in your class today, tomorrow, if you become better than that person, you will always have 10 people ahead of you, right? It is good to be better than that person, but that can happen only and only if you concentrate on self competition, right? Compete with yourself, be a better person every day, be a good person. See how much courage you had yesterday, how much courage you have today, when it comes to becoming disruptive, or when it comes to any hobby or passion that you take, right? These are the 5 tips to brand yourself. In interviews, believe you me, again, it will help you to brand yourself when you say that, I have been, as a hobby, I have taken this up in last 1 year. I have started meditating, I have started reading. Have some facts around it, right? Just don't faff about it. Be very honest to yourself. Great. Not this one. Last but not the least, these are the 8 cultures as per Harvard Business Review of 2019. I don't have 2020 data yet. 2019, all the organizations that you join tomorrow are a part of these 8 cultures. You will not see anything outside of these 8 cultures. Today, AB InBev, my Puma, as a previous organization, every organization is part of these 8 cultures. Now, I want to ask you again, what do you feel? As you see, x-axis is talking about how people interact with each other in company. Y-axis, how people respond to change or adapt to change, right? That is y-axis. So right hand side is talking about culture, which has purpose as the priority. Caring is the axis that is talking about, I care about my employees, I care about each other, we care about each other. Safety is talking about safety of employees, safety of brand. Authority is talking about having hierarchies in place. Enjoyment, learning, right? Any brand that you join tomorrow, you should always go to HBR, read about this, about 8 cultures, and you should always be very, very well aware of which brand you want to join based on their culture that you resonate with most. Learning, which brand today, in the chat box again, which brand, a very famous brand today, is very, very high on learning as a culture? What are your guesses? In the chat box. We are at the last leg of our presentation today, or our discussion today.
You mean the brand or the company?
Brand, company, organization.
Right.
Like any big brand that comes to your mind. It's an international brand. I'll give you a hint. It's not an Indian brand. Hindustan Unilever, sir. Any international brand. Unilever, if I have to consider, okay, fair enough. Learning, from learning perspective, which brands do you feel are having a culture of learning? And what will happen? No, I'll tell you. Great. No more answers required. I'm so sorry. And again, I'm saying, I'm very impressed that my answers are coming in first 2 or 3 chats itself, right? So keep going. Amazon, Googles of the world, Amazons of the world have been the answers in past as well. And as I said, they might have that culture, but strongly what is coming out is what I have already on the screen is about, 1 second, I can see something in the chat box, 3M. Fair enough, and very, very close. If you ask me, Google, yes, but the answer here is Tesla, right? Somebody already said that. I will take the name as well. Karthik, right? Thank you, Karthik, for it. Tesla, SpaceX, anything which is under Elon Musk, and today, learning, based on learning culture, imagine he's become the richest person, right? Last month. They will never tell you directly, you will not know from any brand that you sit for, you want to join, you will not know the culture from outside. Always remember that. Try to do a study of what press releases are happening. Try to understand what the leaders are talking about their culture. You know, they will not directly tell you. Today, if you go to Elon Musk, he will say, no, I believe in results, I believe in purpose, I believe in caring of my employees. End of the day, their culture is highly inclined towards learning and changing the world, right? They don't talk about it, but you need to be aware of brands through their press releases, through the data that is available on internet, through the data which is available from your peers, right? If you are not aligned with the culture, and you will remember this 5 years into your profession, into your journey of experience, you will regret that why didn't I join this company which was giving me a lakh lesser, but I was so much aligned with this culture. I want to be a part of culture which thinks of some safety rather than culture which thinks of enjoyment, right? Keep that in mind. Otherwise, if you're not aligned with cultures, you can never survive or grow in any organization, right? That's my those are my 2 cents. Very important part. I have not shown one organization here on my experience. I left because the culture was great, I wasn't aligned. I had to leave that. I had to take that call in a couple of months itself, and I regret today, right? Because I have to explain that gap. I have to tell people, and people don't believe that I wasn't aligned with the culture. I wasn't ready at that stage of my life. Today, if you ask me, I would love to be a part of that culture. Maybe in the initial stage of my life, I didn't want to be a part of that culture, right? So that's how at various stages of your life, you'll realize that today I relate to enjoyment. Tomorrow, I want to be with a brand which is high on learning. But take a call, a cautious call, well calculated call, and maybe tomorrow, you might regret whatever call you take. You cannot control that, but you'll always have satisfaction that you took a well informed call. Great. Moving on, what generation are you? Give me answers here. How many have you used this growing up? Come on, before we end. This Gen Z millennials, I'm expecting this from you. How many of you? What is this? Yeah. ME. What is ME, Sriram? If you can tell me, I think I am on the fence of becoming a millennial, so I don't know what is a ME.
So no, I meant I have used this in my growing time.
Oh, you've used it, right? Great. And what is it, sir? If you can tell us.
It's a Walkman.
It's a Walkman, right? And Gen Z, most of the Gen Zs in my previous presentations could not answer, or sorry, they said that they have not seen this growing up, right? So just for fun, next slide. There's a Walkman. Yes, Sony is just a brand. How many of you recognize this duo? And I want their individual names. Do you know them? Wow. Pranesh, I wasn't expecting this from you, but yeah, Colonial Cousins, very first one to answer again, Hariharan and Leslie Lewis, right? Great. How many of you know what these are? Pranesh is into music. Great. Good to know, Pranesh. Use that to your advantage if you're going to be asked about your passion and hobby tomorrow. Bubugum, LP. So yeah, so these are Tazos which used to come with Lays earlier. Now they have stopped. How many of you wore these while growing up? Just tell me yes or no in the answer, and then tell me what are these. Yes, no. Were you wearing this while you were growing up? No, Karthikeyan, right? Great. I got some answers. Baggies. We might call them baggies as well. Yes. What else? Anybody else who would like to give it a show? What is it? Pedal push. Interesting. I have been into apparel, and very interesting terms I'm coming across today. I have never heard of, but I'm learning. Pedal push. Thank you so much, Dr. Savitri. Baggies. Yeah. So baggies, pedal push, dungarees. What are the terms which were given to these, and how many of you are obsessed with this? Come on, come on. I was obsessed, and I've seen me. My nephew, niece also still playing this till date. Jumpsuit. Yeah. What is this? Super Mario. Yes, one of my favorites. As a guy, I also used to like Contra, but I was always obsessed with Mario. Great. So ending my session today, work from home excitement has come down for all of us. Please believe in yourself. When you believe that it's a shared tragedy or it's a shared experience, you always feel good, right? It is not that I am going through something different in Bangalore and you are going through something different. Any part of the world, all of us are sharing this experience of pandemic, and always realize, please keep my initial thoughts in mind that you will come out of this stronger. Do not worry about next batches. Market is opening up, but having said that, the cases have also risen, right? So cases are coming, are also rising, but please do not worry about those. We will always be resilient and we will come out of it, and this too shall pass, right? None of us are liking this working or studying from home, and slowly I hope educational institutions like BG Academy also take their call, if they haven't, to call students with social safety, because end of the day, the kind of collaboration and peer engagement and the learning that you have with that will always have an edge, right? You're always inclined to have that. But all of us are working from home, giving our best shots, extra hours. So don't worry, we are on the same page here, right? Any questions, anything to ask, please go ahead. I'm so sorry if I've gone overboard. I get this is one of my favorite topics, so I do go overboard. Sorry about that.
Absolutely no issues, Chirag. We all enjoyed your session. And a lot of takeaways, not only for the zillennials, but also for Gen X people like me. Thank you very much.
Good to know, sir. I think because you're in a position dealing with them day in, day out.
Exactly.
As Mr. Vijay also asked earlier, right?
Okay.
It's a two-way street. Great.
Exactly. My question is on that only, Chirag. Okay. Of course, as far as the Indian scenario is concerned, we come across two types of companies. Okay, type number one, where zillennials are managed by millennials, or zillennials for that matter. Yeah. The second type of organization, zillennials or millennials managed by Gen X. Okay, in your take, what would be the proportion of these companies? That's my question number one. And question number two, as is concerned, where the zillennials are to be managed by Gen X or Gen Y kind of. What would be the kind of conflict they come across? How do they resolve it?
Great. So I think a couple of things we covered earlier, so I will try not to repeat them. But your question is quite valid and new. Where proportion, if you ask me, there is a long way to go, sir, because most of us are still following the type 2 category for now, wherein Gen X are still handling, though 40% of millennials are going to enter the organization by the end of 2022, but still the leadership positions are being handled by Gen X and Gen Y. Yes. So the proportion is very high. I cannot put a number to it right now, but if you have to ask me, it is more than 50% for sure. Especially in India, with global organizations coming in, they are trying to bring in change wherein Gen X is reporting into a Gen Z. That's another challenge that we are facing. Somebody who is a 32-year-old is managing somebody who's 35 years old, right? And if you see, the attrition in such teams is also a little high, because you don't like to work under somebody who's younger than you. Thought process is still changing. Migration has started to happen, but it will take few years to cover that up, right? But type 2 is very high, still very high. Till 2025, I think the things will change, because already in my organization, I see many Gen Z taking over as managers, as leaders, at a very, very senior positions, right? So number is changing, but Indian organizations are still believing in those conventional hierarchies, keeping tenured employees, based on their years of experience, which helps me because I'm getting older by time. But Gen Z is not very happy with it. Right? On the second part, as Mr. Vijay and also others asked, that the challenges are there for Gen X to manage millennials. If I heard you right, sir, we are saying that Gen X, what kind of challenges Gen X are facing while managing millennials? Is that your question, or vice versa? Yeah. So Gen X right now is, as I said, one of the examples. Reverse mentoring also itself, for me, in my last organization between 2016 and 16 and 18, it took me 6 months to convince management to get one pilot into place of reverse mentoring. That's how the pushback has been, because my leadership itself is part of Gen X, right? So they're not open to these challenges. For me to get a pilot in place for one function, that sir, let me just get I would say, Vipul, please let me just get one team into this. 2 leaders going through reverse mentoring on voluntary basis. And it took me 6 months to convince them, right? So very, very difficult in India for now. AB InBev on the other side is a very, very global organization. They do not believe in this. They're already working on reverse mentoring projects, and they're training the generations from day one that yes, tomorrow if you have to work with this generation, this is the percentage that will be managing you. And please look at them from a perspective that you will learn on these skills. And they align on in the first month of induction itself that you are, as Gen X, going to work with millennials in coming time. You might also work as a peer to them, right? If not reporting under them. We're trying to induct everybody, but practical challenges, you never know tomorrow. Person to person it differs. I am not happy to work with this person. I don't like him, and I'm not okay with this ideology. I will not appreciate. So you induct, you put on different plans, different trainings, but trainings will not help unless you practically put them under such people, such scenarios on regular basis, sir.
Thank you.
The other thing that Chirag, some of the organizations are doing that we are also training the millennials to handle experienced people, because it's also the other way around where, they need to understand how to deal with these highly experienced, aged professionals who are reporting to them. You're right that people squirm when you say that the new boss is going to be 30 years old or 32 years old and you are close to retirement. And these youngsters are then taught how to deal with these kind of situations. And I find that they are quite adaptive to this process. They are able to, one of the things that they, of course, buck is against hierarchy. They prefer to have a flat organization as compared to many of the older generations. So one of the things that in the training program we have seen is that they are able to address the senior people or managing experienced people in a way that does not rub them off in the wrong way. They try to extract the best that is possible from them. So it's training to both sides, the training to the millennials as well as training to the experienced people, that how do you deal with millennials?
Absolutely. And good news here, Mr. Vijay, is that at least
please call me Vijay.
Yeah, Vijay. Sorry. So Vijay, here also a good part here is that, as you rightly mentioned, even I have seen that in last few years, wherein Gen Z is much open to manage a team of people or professionals who are elder to them. If not by 5 years, 10 years, at least by a year or so. To give you an example, practical example again here is that when we see a high potential guy who is an individual contributor in the team, what we have done is we make them go through a panel interview of becoming a people manager. And most of these people have the potential, but through these interviews we realize, and the question we try to understand, or the answer which we look from there is around, today somebody who is a peer to you, you are going to become a manager to them. You are at certain grade today, and tomorrow you become a people manager of that person. You forget about somebody who's older than you or younger than you, somebody who's at your level. How will this person look at you as a manager, right? So those are the conversations also which have started happening. And training is two ways. Gen X and Gen Y is still finding a little more difficult to adjust with millennials. Rather, millennials are showing that flexibility, and I hope they come up with greater empathy as well.
True.
Anything else? Anybody else?
For participants, you can unmute and come forward with questions.
Sorry, somebody had a question?
No, sir. There are no questions in the chat also.
Great. No problem. I just hope, as I said, you had one key takeaway, and that's more than enough for me. Yeah, no problem.
Sir, you are on mute, sir. AGB, sir, you are on mute.
Sir. Thank you very much, Chirag. We had a wonderful session, okay, and looking forward to having you amidst us once we get back to normal life.
Absolutely, sir. Okay. Feelings are mutual, and wish
Yeah.
you all the best. And we'll stay in touch. Any feedback, sir, if you get from students, it's always
Definitely.
good to
Definitely.
next college with some learnings from here.
Yeah. Definitely. I'll be passing it on to you. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Shriram, formal vote of thanks.
Yes. Mr. Chirag, thanks. It was really wonderful and enriching session today. Let me call upon Lokeshwaran to give the vote of thanks.
I thank Mr. Chirag Suchak, People Business Partner, AB InBev, Bangalore, for sharing his valuable knowledge in today's Corporate Connect topic, Zillennials, a glimpse of future workforce. And I once again thank you, sir, for spending your valuable time with us. I also thank our beloved director, Dr. A.G.V. Narayanan, sir, Chief Executive Captain Sendil Kumar, faculty members and students of DJAME, and also participants from various other institutions and organizations for their participation in today's Corporate Connect program. Thank you all. Have a great weekend.